Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for my client Emma's vlog, and this is the longest lasting client vlog I've done. It's many people's favorite segment. Again, it's been very popular because of that. Because we have well over a year of vlogs at this point, of weekly vlogs. It exceeded the 1 year mark by quite a bit, and we just keep going. So we started Emma's week off with a football bar floor press. She got 150 pounds, which is a PR. Then afterwards, we're doing pause benching and then incline. And something that her and I talked about with this training block is that she's noticing she's really getting a lot of shoulder fatigue and stuff from all the pressing. And so we're going to back the pressing volume down a little bit, which means we're only going to do one supplemental press each day, because a lot of these days we've been doing a flat bench and an incline on max effort, then an incline on the dynamic effort day, and it's starting to take its toll in terms of total volume. So we're going to adjust that down a little bit. And when some people say, but can you do that? Well, yeah, of course. Look at how low my benching volume is technically right now, yet I've been hitting PRs. My benching has gone up on relatively modest volume, because I personally tend to overtrain that. And in her case, the thing to always remember with women, they can usually handle a little more training volume than men, in terms of relative volume, right? I don't necessarily mean total tonnage, but when we start talking total reps and sets, the research has indicated that that's the case. And there's a lot of reasons why that is. We have a pretty good understanding of why at this point, but they can handle a little more. So sometimes for some of the women that I coach, we will do a little more total volume than the men. And it's just because women can generally handle, something in the range, of 10 to 15% more volume. But in this case, we've pushed her pressing volume relatively far, and it's time to back it down just a little bit because she is running into some recovery issues from it. And we're still getting good bench numbers, it's just there's a little bit of wear and tear there. And that's a good time to reduce stuff down. But then for other supplemental work, we're doing chins, we do band press downs. And then, of course, we always let her do her lateral raises because that's her one vanity lift, and her one vanity muscle is her delts. So, I'd let her do the extra exercises for that just because she cares about that a lot. And some of that goes back to, her bikini competitor days. And that's okay. For lower body max effort, we did a deficit deadlifted 280. Now that one wasn't a PR, but we're okay with that because she hit a pretty good size sumo PR a few weeks back. So she's progressing. Like, we've been making deadlift progress. So matching a previous max on something like that, perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. Again, particularly when we're dealing with lifts in that range. A 280 pound deficit pull, we're getting up there. That is not something that most women are going to achieve. So when we match a PR like that, there's absolutely no shame in that. None at all. Not a big deal on this system of conjugate on some of those harder lifts if we end up matching. As long as we see that general upward trend in the PRs, which is what we've seen over the months and years for her. And then, of course, for supplemental work, her hips have been a little fatigued also lately, so we've skipped the quad work, although we're going to work the belt squat back in because they bought a belt squat. They're back home this week. You guys will notice some of this stuff is being done in a commercial gym. They had to go out of town to handle some business, and so they're having to train at a commercial gym for half the week, but they're back home. They have a belt squat. It's now put together. Her and Louie do. So we're going to be incorporating that this week. But for supplemental work here, we did cambered bar good mornings, glute ham raises, reverse hyperextensions, and then hanging leg raises. Now the reverse hyper, she's noticed, she's like, wow, the stimulus on these is crazy good. Because I've changed her rep ranges. For a really long time, we didn't really use it as a true strength or muscle building movement. We did them as a restoration movement. So she was doing 5 sets of 25. Now that I've taken her down to 10s, we'll take that up a notch. We'll see some extra glute development, hopefully some additional spinal erector development, and we can start bringing that deadlift strength up to the next tier. All right, dynamic at her bench days. You guys noticed the bands were a little loose because she's training in a commercial gym. It's not her normal setup. When she kind of set them up, they were not tuned perfectly. But again, we'll live with that. It's a one-off thing. And again, they ran into some issues with some stuff at this gym, but they made it work. Her and Louie both. Because even though we haven't done vlogs, occasionally every now and then I'll put something up of Louie's. I do coach her and her husband both, and they have both been on Team Blaha around 4 years. I mean, I think that's where we are. I mean, that's a long time to have, the same clients, and yet here they are. Still just killing it week after week, making that progress. All right, so she did her speed benching with bands, though. We did incline bench, and we're going to rotate that over for dumbbells, I think, this next time, just to change the load, to reduce some of that stress she's getting. Then there's her lateral raises, which, again, we always work those in. Got to get those laterals. So they're again, we're either always doing laterals for her or we run phases with the upright rows on a wide grip upright row. Occasionally it'll come up also where someone will ask me, which of those is better? And I'm like, it's not really a better thing. They're both fantastic overall delt developers, okay? They're both fantastic. Advantages and disadvantages. I feel the laterals are a little easier to recover from because there's just less total loading, right? The moment arms involved, literally in this case, your arms are the moment arms. It reduces total stress because you're forced to use such light weights due to the leverage disadvantage, right? They're dumbbells, so there's a certain degree of independence there, and we've discussed in the past why there can be benefits to that. But then we come over to the upright row. It's just a big movement, more muscles involved. It trains your grip. It does some extra bicep work, some radial brachialis work. It's a nice big multi-joint exercise that works all three heads of the delt, works the traps, and then some other musculature. It's a big exercise. It could be a little harder on recovery. They're both very good movements, though. Then, of course, for dynamic lower, again, we some filming stuff, and they just wanted to get out of that gym. They weren't allowed to deadlift there, so she did box squats. She did, I think, some good mornings there, and just called it a day. But there's that deficit deadlift again, and we're pretty happy with that. I think that's a very respectable lift. Right, it's a very respectable lift, particularly for a leaner woman like that. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.